Hello there, welcome back. Some of you may have seen the earlier video where I'm trying to attempt to work on an old game that I worked on the ZX Spectrum back in the 80s, early 90s. I never finished it. I'm hoping to finish it again, but I don't have any source code. So all I have done is loaded the game into an emulator, and that emulator is called ZX Spin, which is this one here, and it also comes with some tools. It has an assembler, debugger, graphics ripper, and some other tools. Okay, I'm hoping to use this in order to break into my code, find out what part does what, and then eventually finish the game off. So on a previous video, I loaded the game into the emulator and I've copied parts of the memory out of the emulator into this assembler over here. I have no idea as to which part of the code does what. As I said, I've got no assembly code or source code, so I'm having to work from scratch. Now these are labels and they don't mean anything. So I'm going to have to systematically go through the program and find things and put labels on. So for here we have a RAM address. No idea what it relates to, but I'm going to have to find that RAM address and give this a label, because when I start making changes to this program, that will change and then it will no longer be looking in the correct part of the address. So I need to systematically be looking through this code and finding out what does what. So again, I've got a call address here as something that is in the RAM, and there are quite a lot of them. Okay, if I go through other parts, they're not. So it's a case of playing detective and running through it. Any part I'm not sure what's what, I will need to either look in memory or look into a debugger and try and figure out what does what. Now you do need to know code in order to do this. You can't just jump in and hope it works, because it won't. Okay, so as I cycle through this, I'm actually looking for what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. Now this doesn't make sense. This wouldn't be code I would have written normally. Why would I do a jump and not 0 to these addresses one after the other? That does not make sense. So if I now assemble this code, that will put this into the emulator, and what I can do is look at that address here and see what it relates to. So I'm going to go into tools, I'm going to do debugger, but I'm not actually thinking I'm running the code, I'm actually trying to see what that does. Okay, so if I now go to memory and go to that address, so we need 46, what is it? 46584. So I need to go down here. Well, there you go. I can see it. I don't know if you spotted it already. It says game over. There you go. So I want 46584. There we go. Game over. So I know that that is not running code. That is just data for text, and it says game over, and it will have spaces in it. So that I will need to edit that and change that into data format, as opposed to that, because I don't want to run that. The other thing I need to do is find out what relates to that address. So if I now find, and I put in there that address, so I want to look for 46584 and see where that takes me. Hang on. .46584. Find. There we go. Now I know that load the accumulator with 2 and call this ROM address is the printing channel. That's telling it to open channel 2. And I also know that this address here is pointing down there. We've got it. It's here. We know it says game over. So this is loading DE with the address of the data bytes. How many data bytes are used? 46. And then it's going to call this print run routine. So that's going to print game over. And I can prove that by running that code directly on the emulator. So I will go randomize USR, where's it gone? Here it's 46526. And there you go. It does exactly say game over. So now I know that that part there is game over. So I can change that to say game over. At the moment you see it's in red, it doesn't recognize it. It's not a valid label. So we need to find that address again, which it has done down there, here, and this label here I need to change to the same. It can be a bit buggy at times, this software. Come on. Why is it not working? It doesn't like that as a label. We'll change it to something else. Likes that as a label, so we're going to use that up here. There you go, you can see it's automatically put it in as a valid label. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is a hard reset. Well, we already did that, we know that part works. And basically that's what I need to do. I need to go through the whole program, seeing what part of the program does what. The other tools I can use to find out is where my sprites are, is use the graphics ripper. And I have already made some changes. Okay, we can't see anything there. Okay, so let's just load in the next part of the file I've already done. This one, which has more in it. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. I'm going to do a hard reset. There we go. As you can see, I've already been working through the program and changing anything to data files, to state files, so I know that the man sprite is there, the mole is there. I know what these data bytes mean, so this is what I need to do. Go through the program bit by bit, working out which part of the program does what. Anything I'm not sure of, there's two ways I can do this. I can literally just run the code as you've seen. It doesn't matter that the emulator crashes, because now it's in an emulator, in an assembler, I can assemble it as many times as I want and rework on it and find out what's what. The tools I have available, let's assemble this. Okay. Come on. It crashes sometimes. Right. If it's not brought up any label, let's get rid of that. Try again. Tools. Assembler. There you go. Why? It should, on this side, bring it with all the labels, and I should be able to go straight to it. And it's just acting up at the moment, this software. If I put it, it'll hopefully work. Let's try it. Oh, here we go. There's an error there. Let's save that. There we go. I'm going to close it down. Open it again. No, it's just not wanting to give me the labels. Typical. Go for that one. There's our labels, but that's the previous version. Oh, this one. There you go. That's better. So there we go. There you can see all the labels that I put in, and they do make more sense, those, than the ones that are already in. Okay, so as I go through the program, I will change anything that is a data byte, name it, and put it at the correct address, and give it a label. Okay, Same with these. So this is the number sprites. So if I now go, did I send that? I'm not sure. We'll do that now. If everything's good in this box here, it should say no errors. If there's something wrong, it will tell me, there you go, there's no errors. So I now go to Tools, I use the graphics gripper, and I'm looking for 41120. So I'm going View with a grid, View as in stripes. Come on. So I'm going to 4, 1. There we go. Now, we need to change parameters here so we can actually see it and make sense. So the width is not 192, it is 8, and there you go, there you can see our numbers. There you go, so 41119 is 20, so 1 more, 20, there you go. And move this over, because we're only 8 wide, so change. No, I don't need to change anything on that. Well, there you go, you can see where my graphics are, and that's how you find them. You can use other tools you can use, it's the debugger. Not only just look through memory, but you can run parts of the code. So let's go for this part here is the scoreboard part. So I need to change the program counter to 45056. It is there. Enter that. Okay, and we'll step through the program one bit at a time, and we can watch what it does. So here it's going to load DE, the registered DE, with the last score. So step to that. There you go, you can see that's now changed to an address. Now I'm going to put the contents of DE into A. Step through that. I'm going to compare for 10. Does it equal 10? No. Okay. So we're now going to jump to that address. So I need to label that address up. We're going to increment DE, increment B, put B into the accumulator and check to see. And then go print score, if it does. So it's looking for an NC. We don't, so it's now going to go to this jump. So I'm now going to jump to there, and it's going to put the contents of DE into A and do another check for 10, and so on. So we can see what each part of the code does by running it step by step through it. So that's how we can work the game out. Okay, so I'm going to crack on with this. Hopefully I'll find a bit more later on. In fact, let's assemble this. I'll just show you some more I've got. Assemble the code. Go down here to level, say we've got level 1 color, level 3 data, level 1 data, level 2, level 3, level 2, level 2. So let's find level 2. Level 2 is here. So you see anything that's not our data, I've changed it. So that's to the data statements. This here is going to load the accumulator. With 2, it's going to call a ROM address, so I don't need to change that number. That's never going to change. So it's going to open channel 2. It's going to load D with the address of the data. So 2 data, you can see here, that's where the address is, so that knows where to look for it. It's going to load BC with the number of bytes, that's how many of these there are. There's 193 of them, and then it's going to call that RAM routine. After that, it's then going to call another routine, which I've called level 2 color, which will add the color to it. So I could actually go print at, which is what this is, at 10, 0, and then it's going to print these. Or I can put print at, and then a color and an ink. I could do that, or I could do it the way I've done it, which is just to color it in afterwards, because it reduces this size. Anyway, let's go to here, and we're now going to run that specific part of the code. If it is still at 47504, I'm not sure it is, so I'm just going to check that with a debugger. So I'm going to go to 47504. There you go, it is at that address. You have to check, because when you do modifications, this is part of the original copy and paste I did from the original ROM. when I start changing things, those numbers are no longer valid. They will change. So at first you can leave them in as a reference as to where to look. As and when you start modifying the program, those will no longer relate. So you have to double check that it actually is. And it is, it's 47504. So if I run that now, 47504, and there you go. Now you can see that has printed level 2 with the colour in it, because that's what that part of the program does, that colours it. Okay, so I'll see you in the next video as I start to move on with it. Thanks for now for watching. See you in the next one.